right. How's it going, Matt?
Good, Jeremy. How are you doing?
Good. So Matt is the special guest, wielder of the banhammer, and oh no, right away. Abyss made it
Come on,
in.
Abyss! Your very first post.
Oh shit. Nice. So yeah, Chris couldn't be with us this week, and I'll when we start the actual podcast, I'll reiterate this. But Chris is tied up with work, and I hope it doesn't become an ongoing thing because this could be like a month of orientation or whatever. So I'm worried. There was a buyout. Chris's company bought out a smaller company and acquired a bunch of employees. So we'll get the details hopefully someday, but I'm just worried. Yeah, this could interrupt the lunch thing we had going. So now we have to make it an international remote style, like everyone's job is right now. The live stream is now handled through.
I crossed an ocean for this.
Yes. Yeah, right. We're bringing Matt all the way across the sea. Yeah, you're lucky too. You made it here during typhoon season, so you could be stuck here for the month.
Well, it's 112 here today.
Oh,
so.
Wow. That's brutal. Yeah. So
I'm sorry, whatever that is in Celsius.
it's probably like 40s, like 40 something. Yeah, those
sounds bad.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, mid to high 30s are pretty uncomfortable in Japan. So 40 would be, there'd be fatalities. Like people have heat stroke when it's in the 30s here.
Ooh.
Yeah, so 40s is pretty unbearable. But you're still pretty much desert air, though. It's pretty dry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a little different feeling. It's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat.
Nice. Yeah, so Matt's super dry and I'm super tropical. Yeah, it's like the jungle. It's the jungle in Japan. That's why we get our lovely typhoon season and our the rainy season, almost like a monsoon. Wow, international weather report.
Yeah.
How
is it where you are, Abyss?
Oh yeah. Everybody, give us your weather details. Partly cloudy. How's it going? Oh man. So Matt, what have you been up to gaming wise recently? Are you still doing Dungeon Crawl Classics on the weekends?
That group's been a little bit on pause. We've got a couple people that had work issues, sadly. So we're looking at maybe switching days for some of us that are still available. And I think I might run Wise Guys game.
Oh, cool.
Which is a third-party book for Savage Worlds. It's
that's cool.
Sort of Goodfellas meets Ocean's 11 kind of thing.
Nice.
Set in Vegas in the early 90s. Looks a lot of fun.
That's cool. Wow, yeah, I haven't heard of that. That's cool. Is that pretty recent, or is that been out for a while?
A couple of years, I think.
Okay, well, that's cool.
It's new to me. It's they've got a fair amount of support for it on drive-through. It looks pretty fun. I'm looking for something that'll be sort of casual. People can drop in, drop out, kind of things. We'll see.
Cool. Oh yeah, and also let us know in the chat how the audio levels are, because I can tweak those a little bit before we actually start any discussion. So if Matt sounds too low or if I'm too low, let us know and I can make some tweaks.
I also just finished up an awesome Blade Runner game.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's right. The last thing ever played on Astral.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. So we'll talk about that later. Yeah. So I didn't get a chance. We couldn't get the Enemy Within campaign finished, so I ported everything over to Owlbear.Rodeo, which is actually a pretty decent platform.
You like it?
Yeah, I was surprised. It's not very feature heavy, but it's real easy to use. So yeah, you can get things right in, drop things right in and get going. You just don't have the options of layers and like different effects and things, and you're like drawing your fog with a vector tool. So it's simple. It's simple, but it does the job. And I was just worried that it would be difficult to find something quickly. But yeah, Owlbear.Rodeo, that's definitely a recommendation for a free virtual tabletop. It's better than a whiteboard, you know. I guess that's not a glowing recommendation. It's better than a whiteboard, but because it's got grids, it's got tokens and grids, and you can snap those in real fast. So yeah, I've already got everything set up for the Dragonbane adventure. It's all in there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was really easy to do. So yeah, no character sheets. That's the other thing. We'll have to look at character sheets as PDFs. Yeah, there's not like an option to pop up character sheets. I really love that about Astral, where you could take your character sheet and basically put buttons and triggers all over it, so you can click your stat, you can roll, you know, things off of your sheet by doing, you know, the little formulas in the buttons. Okay, cool.
The Kickstarter, I know, reached their goal for a Foundry module.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah, I've heard Foundry is actually the best looking virtual tabletop, and especially how Free League does it. So that's good that we're going to get Dragonbane Foundry modules, because those are supposed to be really nice to use, because it has, you know, all of the graphic design from the books, you know, gets incorporated into all the materials, so the character sheets and everything look exactly like what you would play, you know, from the prepared material. So good stuff. Yeah, I have Twilight 2000, I think, is the only module I have for Foundry, just as my demo, and that looks nice too. So
cool.
Yeah. And Owlbear.Rodeo has a pretty nice 3D dice roller as well. So I was surprised. You know, it was very feature light, but then it has this really nice dice roller box that you can just, like, you know, open over the screen and just throw a bunch of dice into the you can roll a bunch of dice, and actually, like, they're very responsive. They almost have like a physics to them. So yeah, it's very surprising how good that is. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. So we'll do a post-mortem kind of obituary for Astral in a bit. Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, so hopefully this weekend we get to finish the Shadow over Bogenhofen first part of the Enemy Within. Maybe, yeah. I'm hoping we're right at the climax. Like we had to stop right at the climax.
Man, yeah, you've been waiting for that for a while. Huh?
Yeah. It's been a couple of months. There's been some house sitting and some of the players kind of being in different places that weren't very convenient for gaming. So we'll get it finished off, and that's going to happen in Owlbear.Rodeo as well. Everything's happening there. Yeah, they don't have any sort of audio player in that platform, but you can port in your system audio, so it allows for you to play things like on a soundboard, or even like the website, the RPG backgrounds kind of sound websites. You can play them straight from your system.
Okay.
Yeah. So as long as you don't get any email alerts, it'll be immersive. All right. So Abyss is in the Netherlands. There we go.
Yeah.
Now I can get a sense of the everyone's time zone as well. Very cool.
I'm a big Formula One guy, and they're having their Grand Prix in the Netherlands this weekend.
Oh, nice. Nice. All right. Well, here we go. Well, thanks so much, Matt, for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time and dealing with the time difference and all that good stuff.
You bet.
And and so we're a day late as well. So thanks everyone for for finding the stream. So let's get going for this week and just run down some topics for the week. Okay. Welcome to the weekly. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Matt.
Hey, Matt. So, as you can tell, Chris is not here this week, and Matt is. Thank you, Matt, for helping us out. And so Matt will still ban you in the chat, but but will be with us today to talk about all the headlines from this week. So, this week on the weekly, So long to Astral Virtual Tabletop, a new D&D Webtoon, Fireheart for Frostgrave, Dark Soul standalone expansions for the Dark Souls board game, a letter from Dave Arneson, and new Disney CCG, so a collectible card game. So Disney is going to try to compete with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and Magic the Gathering for some reason. All right. So let's get started. And some of this I want to give credit where credit is due. Some of this, Matt, you contributed. So you sent me some links for some of these, some of the articles we'll talk about. So thank you so much for doing that. Problem. All right. So the first thing, there was a kind of an obituary that was posted on Arkenforge. So Arkenforge does they do like tool sets for maps, for animating maps and doing light sources and things for maps for RPGs. And Nathan posted a very long, very, very nice kind of tribute to the dead Astral. So you may not know Astral. So Astral was a virtual tabletop that was being supported by OneBookShefl, the drive-through RPG folks, and they decided that it wasn't profitable, and it entered maintenance mode, and then it just got disappeared as part of whatever collaboration is going on with OneBookShefl and Roll20. So yeah, that was and that was actually last year that it entered maintenance mode, and we talked about that a little bit on the cast. And then, yeah, it's too bad. But it was really a great article, and I'll put a link in the description for it. But just basically talked about the history of the platform itself. It started out as Power VTT, so Power Virtual Tabletop, done by a single developer, Tom Lackman. And they wanted to just do something very simple. Unfortunately, they had a Kickstarter that was canceled. They only had about 26 backers. This was very early days. So what years is like 2017? So really, the pandemic hadn't happened yet, and so people weren't like obsessed with finding the best way to play online. And the Kickstarter wasn't successful, but they rebranded in 2018 as Astral, and then 2019 partnered with OneBookShefl. And it was the freemium subscription model that they basically used to support it. So you could do a subscription, but the totally free option was very viable. It gave you access to all the tools, or a majority of the tools that you needed, and all you didn't get was kind of the higher end effects features and lighting features, and then storage. It increased with storage if you subscribed. So yeah, that's too bad. So we played a little bit, Matt. We did the Blade Runner case file on Astral. What was your opinion, or how did you find that tabletop to be?
Well, as a player, I really liked it because it was, once I figured out, what was it, like how to load my character sheet. Mm-hmm. I was good. Everything else was really intuitive. I didn't really notice any hiccups. I mean, I think once in a while maybe you had trouble getting an image to load.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
But everything otherwise seemed pretty seamless. Mm-hmm. I was happy with it, and I like free.
Yeah.
So that made me sad. Was like, oh, this is cool, and we're not going to get to play it anymore. So I'm looking forward to trying Owlbear.Rodeo. Mm-hmm. I'm worried that there's going to be like this reaction to one D&D that is like a consolidation of other VTTs,
Yeah.
I hope not, but we'll see.
Yeah, I hope it diversifies instead of, like you're saying, kind of like everything kind of consolidates into just a few options. And especially if that model works, where if you want to play D&D, you have to get into their ecosystem. If other publishers or, there starts to form these little groups where, okay, if you want to play Chaosium games, you have to have this subscription. If you want to play Wizards of the Coast, you have to have this subscription. It'll be like streaming all over again. Yeah. Finding your favorite movies. So, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Well, I don't know the GM side of it. Like, I guess you can speak to that, but it's important for your players that it be real smooth and streamlined, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we were playing. It was already in maintenance mode by the time we were playing, so there weren't any adjustments to like web code that helped connections or anything. So I think that's why we ran into some connection timeouts and things, is because it was just on maintenance mode. No bug fixes or anything. But yeah, the GM side of it was really nice. It was very easy. I mean, if you have a PDF of the rule book and you can just do screen grabs or just drag and drop graphics from your source materials, digital source materials, into the platform, it was really easy. And there was a nice a sound audio player, so you could even layer sounds. You could even get multiple sounds going on, and yeah, it was really easy and really intuitive to use. I built a lot of stuff both for the Enemy Within campaign, and it even worked pretty well. I guess the dice roller wasn't very flexible for us, so we had to so I did the little codes on the character sheet, because you can't really change the base dice roller, but those would have been all things that could have happened in the future that we we just won't ever see. Yeah, so as of August 30th, so prior to this recording, it's Astral Virtual Tabletop is just completely offline. So they just deleted everything. There was a movement by the community to make an offer to kind of crowdsource or crowdfund to make an offer to OneBookShefl to buy the source code or to make it open source, and they denied it. So it was probably part of their deal with whatever they're doing with Roll20, and so that code may maybe just make its way over to Roll20. So if we're looking for a silver lining from this, the only thing that we can really say is possibly some of the features that we liked in Astral may show up someday in Roll20, because more likely than not they have the code. But that's very cold comfort for
when you're playing Roll20.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that never goes well, and just the arrogance of programmers kind of stops that from being a very good solution. So what do you do if you were playing Astral, if you were enjoying it and you like free? What do you do? There are a couple of options, and I think the best option, and what we're moving to for the games that I'm playing with Matt, and the also the Warhammer Fantasy, is Owlbear.Rodeo. So Owlbear.Rodeo. So they're taking advantage of the .rodeo extension, but that's a very it's a feature light but a very nice virtual tabletop that does everything you need to do. It has nice drop and drag features. You can square up grids. You can assign the units of your grids, assign the scale of your tokens, and just get everything working right away. So if you're used to tokens on grid maps, it's a very easy, intuitive thing to put together, and it's all free. You get a limited, and from what I understand, you can have storage of original uploaded content, but also what you're basically doing is linking to files that are stored on your hard drive. So there's not really a storage limit. If you want it to be saved, within the application, you'll be using cloud storage. But as far as anything you upload locally, it's just the size of your hard drive is basically your restriction, and it's web-based, and no accounts are required. So basically, Matt, I'll send you a password and a link, and you can just log right in to the game session. So so real easy.
Yeah, I logged into it, and I didn't really see any kind of tutorial. It just looked like you set up a game and off you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few YouTube videos, to kind of show you. Yeah. But yeah, it's so feature light that you just poke around a little bit, and it kind of it'll make sense. Nice.
And you host your own server when you use it, right?
Yeah, well, I think because it's running on the web, it's basically wherever their servers are. So the connection, we'll find out how the connection issues are, because we haven't used it internationally yet. But I had it was very responsive from Japan. So wherever those, I think they're Melbourne based. So Australia. I think the servers are in Australia. So kind of out of the way for everybody. So so that's a good free option. The other option that we're going to try, and the thing that's really compelling about this, it's a one-time license purchase. So I think it's $50, and you have Foundry. So Foundry Virtual Tabletop is a little. It feels a little bit more made by programmers, but that gives it a lot of depth, a lot of flexibility, and the pre-made modules, especially Free League supports it pretty heavily. So the modules, which are the game adventures and the rule sets and character sheets and everything, look amazing. They have all the graphics and everything of the original materials. So it's a good option, and then you're not paying a subscription that you may never use or may forget about. It's a one-time purchase to support these guys, and then of course buying the modules, funds their I'm sure funds their development as well.
Yeah, I haven't used Foundry, but I have read some stuff about it, and it seems like the people that once they grok it, they really like it. Like there's a learning curve, but once they learn it, and they really appreciate the tools that are there. So.
Well, that's good.
Cool.
Yeah. It definitely had, because the way they handle file location and stuff, it felt a little more programmery. But that means it's probably going to have some depth and some scripting and things you can do to really make it exactly what you want. So yeah. And when we first mentioned when first released Foundry, and we mentioned it on the weekly, they reached out to us about talking about the platform. So we may take them up on that and get some details about. Where Foundry is now, and kind of how they stand, and how they're feeling about one D&D and all that good stuff coming at them. So that might be fun. So yeah, thanks to Nathan from Arkenforge for posting that wonderful obituary, and I'll put a link to that so you can read all the details of kind of the history of Astral. And farewell, Astral. That's it's too bad. It's too bad that such a useful tool has disappeared, and we may see more of that in the future. And I guess that's the problem with digital formats and digital platforms, is you can literally just pull the plug and lose them forever. So we'll hopefully not see too much more of that in the future of online gaming. But yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah. Is there anything, Matt, that you've had experience that has been shut down, like any useful websites or tools or anything that just are gone now, that came up for GMing resources or anything?
No, I can say kind of like Astral was before they killed it. There's some tools out there that I think exist on the web but are kind of unsupported now.
Right.
I could be wrong, but there's one called Purple Sorcerer that's for DCC. And I don't think they made an app for it, and you can do it on the website or you can get the app, but the app, you have to get it through the link on the website. It doesn't exist in the at least for Apple, it doesn't exist in the store anymore. So, and it doesn't look like they're updating anything anymore. That's the only one that really comes to mind.
Okay. Yeah. So hopefully we don't have a lot more of this in the future. But yeah, it seems to keep happening. There was a little bit of rumors. We didn't talk about it so much on the podcast, but Battleforge, which is a really good army builder for a lot of miniatures war games. There's been, I think as a joke, somebody said that they got a digital rights, claim, and had to take down, there was some kind of, haha, wasn't that funny? But it's not funny because that legitimately could have happened to them. And I think basically Battlescribe is the software itself, and then the database are supported separately. So the software accesses the database with all the rules for your armies, and it's basically community maintained, the database itself. So the two are separate, so you can't claim you're using copyright material because the application itself doesn't contain anything, just how to access and how to build from that data. So we'll see if something happens to Battlescribe in the future, because that's a very useful tool that it suddenly disappeared from the Apple Store, the iOS store. And so the rumors were that Games Workshop came after them, but it turned out that it's just because that it hadn't been maintained in so long that Apple has a rule. If there's not an update in a certain amount of time, they'll take it off the store because it becomes incompatible with newer things going on. Speaking of newer things going on, I don't know why we're talking about this, but it just like stood out as like, really, maybe this is part of D&D 1, who knows, but Dungeons and Dragons is doing a webtoon. They're collaborating with the Korean digital animation studio Webtoon to create a Drizzt series. So this will be an officially licensed Drizzt cartoon, and it's going to feature Drizzt Do'Urden and Caddy Bree's daughter Bree, nicknamed Breezy. So it sounds absolutely lovely. And if you haven't seen the Webtoon style of stuff, it's basically if you took a studio and told them, we want you to make kind of, Japanese animation, very cheap Japanese animation, and we're going to send you to Tumblr for your reference on how to draw these characters. It's very, I don't know, it's just very web comic, kind of imitating a Japanese style tune.
Like fan art?
Yeah, very, very fan arty and very cutesy. So I don't think they're going to be able to tell amazing stories. But anyhow, those characters are going to be, it's a yet untitled webtoon, but they're going to be in a new series. And Suitor Armor, the series Suitor Armor, the creator is Purpah. I guess that's their screen name or whatever. So Purpah, the writer, and illustrator Ryan LeCount are doing the series, and R.A. Salvatore is actually involved in the project. And there's a quote from him saying, "I can only say that I'm working closely with Melanie and Ryan," so I guess Purpah's real life name is Melanie, "and they are rock stars in bringing Breezy to life." So they honed in on this Breezy character, and we're going to get a wonderful. So I guess, I'm bagging a little bit on the content and the look of it, but it is intended for younger people. It's intended for probably a tween audience, and it's a way to onboard them, kind of how Saturday morning cartoons used to work for getting you into like Marvel Comics or something. Younger readers will be able to watch these on either mobile devices or the website. And already Marvel and DC have done this. So there's kind of cutesy webtoons of official Marvel and DC characters. The Batman Wayne Family Adventures series is pretty successful. And of course, Crunchyroll is getting in on it with several anime that they have licenses to, including Tower of God. I'm not sure which one that is, but so anyhow, that's coming. Oh yeah,
not related to the D&D thing, but I gotta ask: Wayne Family Adventures?
Yes.
Aren't they all dead except for Bruce?
Right.
Isn't that the point?
Right, that's true. So maybe it's like a Beetlejuice kind of afterlife thing. I have no idea what. He talks to the ghosts of his dead parents. I have no idea what that would possibly be. If it's pre-murder, alleyway murder.
So when he was just a happy rich kid,
right? Yeah.
Sound very fun.
Yeah, it's a good point. I have no idea what exactly what would be the content of that, and why Crunchyroll would want Korea to make a not very good anime version of things they have rights to. Who knows? But anyhow, that's coming out next year, so 2023. And 2023 also marks the 35th anniversary of the release of The Crystal Shard, which is the first book that Drizzt appeared in. So that means that we've had almost 40 Drizzt-focused novels have been released since so that's more than one a year, in case you're keeping count. And the one, what's that?
So I wonder, and I'm going to risk offending some listeners, because to me, Drizzt is just this bargain basement version of Elric of Melniboné.
Right.
I've never really been into him, and I know a lot of people love the books and the character. I just think he's like kind of a I don't know a knockoff, basically.
Right.
If this is geared towards kids, isn't he supposed to be a pretty violent anti-hero sort of type.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think the series. It sounds like the series will focus primarily on Breezy, and maybe he will just be this like odd father figure. It doesn't say because we don't even have a title yet either, so it doesn't say like what the so similar to Wayne Family Adventures. We have no idea what this could possibly be about. But I think you're right, because that was the thing I was surprised about those books is the R.A. Salvatore novels at least are pretty gritty. They're pretty rough. There's some very adult content there as far as like sex and violence and stuff, and so I'm not sure how you serve that to kids, but yeah, that's been a trend though. Yeah,
I don't think the Drow of that era even fit into what Wizards of the Coast does now.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's true. So we have to have farming agricultural above ground Drow that don't sacrifice anybody to spider gods or anything.
With happy, fulfilling home lives.
Right. They just have day jobs. So it's coming out next year. So we'll see how well that works to get people into the world of of Drizzt, and I guess he's Forgotten Realms. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how well that does. But
which is it? The new movie is set in Forgotten Realms, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
So I bet you if it's successful, we get a Drizzt in the sequel.
Oh, that's very true. So who would you cast? Who is your Drizzt? If you had to, if you had open casting.
So, do you remember? Is it Jeremy Irons?
Mm-hmm.
Who was the bad guy in the Time Machine remake?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
So that whole character's image just looked like Elric of Melniboné anyway, so they might as well just go for it.
There you go. And to bring Jeremy Irons back to a D&D movie, I think the fans would love that as well, because he chewed some major scenery in the
he did.
the previous appearance. So yeah, very cool. So we'll see what happens, and so I guess we're getting some sort of media these next 2 years, leading up to the presidential election and the release of 1D&D are going to be brutal for Americans. We're going to get nonstop.
Way to conflate that.
We're going to get nonstop campaigning and D&D promotion. There'll be nowhere to hide.
Under a rock.
Oh, brutal. All right. Frostgrave, second edition, a wonderful miniature skirmish game by Joseph McCullough, is getting an expansion. So Fireheart is the new expansion released by Osprey Games for Frostgrave. There have been several expansions, both for first edition, and now these are the new ones for second edition. The most amazing thing about that is everything is backwards compatible. There was nothing that was changed in the second edition rules that make the older adventures unplayable. So very good thinking for that's how you do a new edition, is you don't make everyone buy everything all over again. And supporting this game, it's a miniatures agnostic game, so you can use anything you want. We actually used Lego minifigures for the first campaign we did of Frostgrave, but North Star Military Figures is doing the official metal miniatures and also hard plastic kits to support the game. And the focus of Fireheart will be enchanters. So there'll be new constructs, new enchanter spells and capabilities. It'll change things a little bit because you'll be able to build constructs based on treasure items that you've secured. And so there'll be new smaller constructs and familiar constructs, meaning something that operates in similar to familiars for the other spellcasters. So unlike some of the previous expansions that have come out, there's no new wizard classes being added. There'll be new types of soldiers, but basically this is just beefing up enchanters. So if you are running an enchanter character, this will actually be a great thing to jump into. And if you want to start a new warband run by an enchanter and actually populate it with all kinds of crazy animated constructs, that will be a good way to do it. So there's going to be female versions of the enchanter characters released by North Star Military Miniatures, as well as a hard plastic female barbarian set, which I know Chris was hurting for when putting together the kind of techno barbarians that we were going to do for Stargrave. Chris bought a barbarian box, and we're kind of piecing those together so they look kind of a nice mix of barbarian and like laser rifles. But now there's the female barbarians, so this may change everything. So
when I saw the name,
mm-hmm.
I just assumed, I don't know anything about the world. I haven't played it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched your actual play, which was fun,
mm-hmm.
and then like I've mentioned before, I've looked into maybe doing it on a HeroScape tiles,
right?
Because my group are afraid of rulers.
Right.
I don't know what that's about, but anyway, when I saw the title, I was like, oh, maybe it's like more of a, I don't know, lava heat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're gonna change the landscape or something, but it's more of just a technical supplement. It seems like.
Yeah, it does add adventures. So there are new soldier types, new constructs, and then new adventures. So maybe the adventure, like the campaign of the adventures, may take you like underground. So Fireheart must refer to something. So in one of the early adventures, you fought a rogue golem, which was a big kind of rogue construct in the game. So the storyline may lead you to finding out some horrible enchanter doing something terrible. So yeah, I'm not sure what Fireheart refers to, but it may actually like take you under the ground, under the city of the setting of Frosthaven. But yeah, or Frostgrave, sorry. We'll see what happens in that story. But they always do very interesting stories. The linked adventures are very fun, and they kind of build up. And I'm anticipating the female barbarians play some sort of role. They may play heavily as the monsters or the defenders of wherever you're going, because they're getting released at the same time. So so options to improve your enchanter warband is basically the focus for this. So this is the first time they've kind of done this, saying like this expansion is for this specific wizard type. So we may see more of that in the future, where they can flesh out each different school of magic, which would be fun. And I think that'll be maybe enchanters were the ones that were maybe furthest behind as far as the diversity of spells and things. So this may be a much needed kind of buff. And the one thing that this adds for all wizards is sometimes between battles, if you take kind of a critical injury, if you're knocked out of the battle and you roll poorly on what happens to you between specific battles, you can take a serious injury, and that could be a broken leg, a crushed arm, a missing finger or toe. And now with this supplement, you can have enchanted prosthetic limbs, so you can actually come back better than ever. The $6 million wizard with your enchanted prosthetic that'll give you a buff, that'll give you some sort of movement or some sort of buff. So yeah, enchanted prosthetics is the thing that everyone benefits from in the game.
So when do we get to see you and Chris play the new one?
Yeah. As soon as we can get our hands on it. Yeah. Hopefully, that would be really fun. Hopefully we can get a hold of this soon. We still have to put together some Stargrave as well. There's just too much good stuff. I mean, Joseph McCullough is insanely prolific. So many games and so much good stuff that we're starting to get behind. There's a lot of good stuff that we haven't played yet, but we have books and minis for.
Can you mash up Stargrave and Frostgrave? Can you actually field two different units from two different places?
You might be able to get away with it because the systems are similar enough that it would be interesting to do like a Frostgrave band against a Stargrave band, but it's not formally blended, but the system is very similar. So maybe with a little bit of homebrew and a little bit of rules tweaking, you could have wizards versus starship commanders, which would be pretty funny to see. That kind of mashup might be really fun. But there's so much that are equivalents, so many in the two things in the two systems that work as equivalents. They just have different kind of names, so it might work pretty well. So until September 8th, if you go to the North Star Minis website, you can order bundles, including this new supplement and the new official figures themselves, if you want to, get a deal. So they do that kind of every time there's a release. Everything that's produced for it, you can buy as a bundle, and you get some good savings, buying everything together. So, that's going on the North Star website until September 8th. I'll put a link for that as well, so it's easier to find.
For
And
slow painters like me,
mhm.
what's the typical like warband size?
It doesn't. You can't go above 10. So in your war bands, if you have beefier units or more specialized units, you're usually maybe the smallest I've seen is like six or seven. If you have really tough guys, so yeah, it's not bad at all to put them together. And if you just do like 3 colors, if you just like stick with a simple 3-color look, they look nice on the table, and you can get them painted pretty quick.
Are there necromancers so I can just sloppy paint some
Oh
undead?
yeah, yes, right. Yes, there are, and
All right, cool.
and they have demons and ghouls and uh, animated skeletons with them. So yeah, that's some easy painting for you right there.
Nice.
Yeah, and with the new Heroscape coming out, that might be a fun thing to try. Is actually do a Heroscape board with Frostgrave, because you could just convert all the inches to hexes and see how that plays. All right. Well, cool. So another game that's getting 2 expansions is the Dark Souls board game. So they're attempting to kind of revitalize. So Dark Souls, there was a Kickstarter in, I believe, 2016 that released the core game for Dark Souls. And this is, of course, based on the FromSoft, the classic FromSoft video game. So Steamforged Games released a Dark Souls board game. Successful Kickstarter with many expansions, but everything that's come out since then has required that original core box, and sometimes it's not the easiest thing to get a hold of, and it also then means you want to play this expansion, you want to play this part of the game, but you have to buy the pretty large core box itself. So the new thing that they're going to do is make 2 new expansions that are actually standalone. So each of these expansions will serve as a core box. You can use them without any other extra materials. So those releases are the Tomb of the Giants and the Painted World of Aramis. So they're going to add settings to the game that didn't exist before, and they're going to be standalone. So they'll work without the required base core box. So that should help a lot. And Matt Hart from Steamforged said they're hoping this will be a revitalization of the original rules. So this also will mean that there's a 2.0 edition of the rules. So what these games will add is a new event system, objective card decks, streamlined campaign rules, and more puzzle-based scenarios. So 2.0 is trying to kind of make people come back to the game and be able to play it in a little bit different way. And if it's if you're familiar with Kingdom Death Monster, or it's kind of like, it's very similar to that the board game itself. You're fighting small minions, and then there's a big bad. Basically, you're going after a big bad character in the game, and you build up your fighter, based on the treasure that you secure from winning.
So I only know this game kind of around the edges. I never played the Dark Souls video game. I played Elden Ring, and as a Skyrim player, Elden Ring just made me angry and sad.
Right.
I have one of the guys in my local gaming group. Pretty much any big name board game that's gonna come out, he's gonna buy.
Yeah.
To the point where if I'm looking at something on Kickstarter, I will text him first, make sure he's not backed it already,
Right.
so I don't waste my time.
Right.
So he bought the Dark Souls board game.
Mm-hmm.
They played it. They played it one night when I wasn't around. It took them like 6 hours to do one game.
Oh.
And then he got rid of it immediately afterwards.
Really interesting. Yeah.
So because I didn't know much about it, I did look it up on Board Game Geek, and it's got like an aggregate rating of like 6.5, which on on Board Game Geek, that is not good.
Right, right.
And and a lot of the comments I read were that it was longer than advertised. It
Mm-hmm.
was frustrating because you just kept dying over and over again,
Right, right.
and to go back for meager rewards.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be a little more tolerable in a video game setting, but in a board game, not so much.
Right.
So when I hear them saying like 2.0 and streamlining, I imagine they're trying to fix some of that.
I bet you're right. Yeah, because I think that, often when they're doing a board game translation of a video game, yeah, they're trying to give that original feeling or that original experience, and sometimes that is not very compatible. Like board game players have different expectations. They don't love hard mode and, your character constantly dying. And the one thing I remember with that game too is you get treasure, but so often the class or type of fighter that you're playing can't use it. So very often you'll get these amazing weapons. It's like, oh, I can't use this, so it's you're not transferring treasure around or anything. So it's very frustrating that you go through something and your loot is completely unusable. So hopefully, yeah, in the 2.0 rules they'll have you're pulling multiple cards and choosing one, and some of those things that they can very easily fix with the game. But the miniatures are amazing. So Steamforge, yeah, of course, Steamforge Games is doing this, so they do a nice job. So especially their larger scale miniatures are really nice. The detail and everything, the material that they use holds that detail really nice, and they're not brittle or warped. They're not very bendy, and you don't have crazy swords and pole arms like wrapping around like pasta on some of the characters. So they're decent. And so another thing that Steamforge released, which is another bit of a stumble for them, was the Dark Souls RPG. So earlier this year that came out with a ton of printing errors, kind of spelling errors and mistakes, and basically some of the rules mistakes that they made it unplayable. So they had to go back and do a revised version. And the admirable thing that they did was they released everybody, especially the people that bought into that $100 limited edition, they sent them a brand new copy with no questions asked, because they screwed it up and they wanted to try to help repair that repair that mistake. So yeah, they tried to dampen that negative response by just saying, okay, we messed up, so we're going to re-release. Everybody that's pre-ordered it, hang on, we'll get you a revised edition. And I haven't heard anything since then, so I'm not sure if everything is good to go, because they're using the 5e rule set for this for Dark Souls. So I'm not sure exactly what they. Or I think it was actually there were things in the starting classes that you couldn't do, that were like they actually were contradictions in the rules that made it impossible to actually play certain character types. So
was it strictly 5e, or was it more of the open?
I think probably the open, using the SRD, just the open game license.
Because
Yeah.
5e feels like it's completely geared just to keep you alive,
Right.
no matter
Oh,
what.
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
And Dark Souls, it doesn't make sense.
Right. No, they must have modified something so that you're more fragile. Yeah, there couldn't have been the kind of health mechanics and stuff that you're used to with 5. It's a good point. It's an odd choice. But what they are doing is, so the miniatures from this board games are being released separately to support the RPG itself. So you can get the miniatures either with the board game itself, and if you have no interest in the board game, you can still get those miniatures separate to use in the for the RPG. So they're the same molds, but just more affordable and without all the cardboard that you probably will never use. And I don't think they so I know, like, the Siege of the Citadel, the Mutant Chronicles Siege of the Citadel did a really good job of making the tiles for that board game compatible with the RPG. There was like a rule system that let you use those game tiles for the RPG itself. But I don't think this is the case with Dark Souls. So Dark Souls didn't actually make the tiles for that game usable as the RPG. I guess you could use them probably for flavor or for color, but they don't have grids on them. They have just like location points. So maybe not, terribly useful, but the miniatures are. The miniatures do exist in the RPG as well. So
There's something to be said for a company owning a complete license, like being able to do the board game and the role playing game. There's a synergy that we're probably going to see a lot more of, with the advent of the Embracer group.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. No, that helps a lot when things are and that's what like that sold me on the Conan miniatures game, is because the RPG was coming out. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be great to have, all the things from the Conan setting in plastic, it was board game plastic, but board game plastic miniatures. So those sorts of synergies are pretty good for tabletop. All right, and this next item was something that you sent me that made me really sad. It was a really depressing news item, but very interesting. So there's a new book that came out I think this year by Ben Riggs called Slaying the Dragon, and Slaying the Dragon is just a history of I guess basically the focus of the book is Slaying the Dragon is a never before heard true story of how D&D almost died in the 90s and was saved by its bitterest rival. So the subtitle for Slaying the Dragon is A Secret History of Dungeons and Dragons. So we just got we also got another book by the writer of Playing at the Worlds, John Peterson. So John Peterson has also released a book, I believe last year, called Game Wizards, that talks about the rivalry between Gygax and Arneson. And this article that Matt sent me was by the author of Slaying the Dragon. And I think, I'm not sure if it was on his blog, but it was an article that he wrote that talked about some of the materials that he unearthed in the writing of the game. I'm sorry, writing of the book, Slaying the Dragon, and wanted to kind of go a little bit more in depth to some of those materials and talk about the things that they revealed about these parts of history. And so the particular thing that he's talking about now is a letter that was written in 1997. So 1997 is the end, I guess, of TSR as we know it. It's right before they were in negotiation to be bought out by Wizards of the Coast. So this letter was written by Dave Arneson. And so Dave Arneson wrote a letter to the Wizards of the Coast CEO, Peter Adkison. Not easy.
Atkinson.
Atkinson. Yeah. Atkinson. And basically, Arneson was begging to be put in charge of Dungeons and Dragons, and thought this was the opportunity for him to actually, take complete control over something that he was pushed out of. So the whole text of the letter is, it's actually a scan of the letter is reproduced. So it's a typewritten letter that basically goes into, his it talks about his involvement in the game. And if you don't know, kind of in the history of Dungeons and Dragons, 1973 was the year that Dave Arneson drove from Minnesota to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, to run a game that he called Blackmore, and that was the kind of Gary Gygax's first experience of what became Dungeons and Dragons. So they were trying to figure out how to publish these rules. Nobody wanted to publish them, and basically at that point, a lot of people point to this moment in history as evidence that Arneson was the true and solitary creator of D&D, making him, and I love this quote in the entry, making Arneson D&D Jesus and demoting Gygax to the position of geeky St. Paul. That's a great line in the article. But since no other company was going to publish it, they started Tactical Studies Rules, which is TSR, abbreviated as TSR, and of course were wildly successful. Arneson was remained kind of a minor figure and was director of research, and then became head of the shipping department at TSR, and basically just kind of pushed aside, and eventually his name was even taken off the product itself. Later, Arneson would sue TSR for unpaid royalties in both 1981 and 84, and it sounds like it was a pretty bitter back and forth between the two. There's a reference to to a caption that was written on a photo. So there was a photo that they used to mock Arneson. So a picture of the groundbreaking for the new headquarters of TSR. And they wrote a caption at the bottom of the photo: "Buried alive with a cask of Italian wine under the foundation of TSR's new $3.5 million headquarters." So it's very very sad. So that's what they insisted was Arneson being part of TSR. So the author calls it naked cruelty, basically, between the two. So the letter that was dated April 11th, 1997, offered to run Arneson offered to run TSR when Wizards of the Coast acquired it. Said much of TSR's failure was their own doing, and that he is a known and respected person in the game industry and would like to. I don't have an ego. I don't have ego problems, and and is well qualified. So after this long kind of self-promoting pitch, said, "Okay, Peter, that's the pitch. Give me a call and discuss my proposal." And of course, there was no phone call, and nothing ever came of it.
No respect.
Yeah, so it's too bad. And then there was a follow-up letter on April 24th that again wasn't answered, and the rest is history. Wizards of the Coast bought TSR, and Dungeons and Dragons became the Goliath of 5e that we as we know it. But very interesting. Yeah,
it's sad. Like, I mean, you could do a whole web series on the life of TSR.
Yeah,
I think Arneson and Gygax, depending on who you're listening to, one's a bad guy, one's a good guy. But really, it's like Rome and Carthage, right? If you pull back, you can see they're both integral to ancient history. They're both important.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of, if you look at a big picture, you can respect them both. But obviously, as far as the media is concerned, Gygax won the war.
Right.
And it doesn't really surprise me that Wizards blew off Arneson, because he wasn't the known quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wasn't the D&D celebrity. It's kind of like people are rediscovering Arneson. There's that documentary. They're called Blackmore, right?
Yeah, Secrets of Blackmore. Yeah.
Secrets of,
Mm-hmm.
Which is I would say more pro Arneson.
Mm-hmm.
And
definitely.
I think prior to that, he wasn't known by a lot of D&D players. In fact, right now, with 5th edition, there's probably a ton of D&D players who barely know who Gary Gygax.
Well, that's a good point. It's that's the more recent named kind of people that are handling the IP that they know of. Yeah, Jeremy Crawford and that's right. That's very true. Yeah.
So it is really sad that he kind of was begging for a job.
Very much.
And then when you look at it in the light of, well, he passed away now, it makes it more sad. But they were interesting. They were different dudes. Like, the simple way to put it was Gygax was, like, I think more extroverted, and if you look at him in D&D terms, he was the kind of the originator of naturalistic dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
And Arneson was more about playing the game, and he tended to make, I think, the funhouse dungeons.
Right.
Like, why is this manticore in this room? I don't know. It's cool.
right. Yeah, that's true.
Where Gygax would, like, actually figure out, well, there's this underground river running through, and it's growing this fungus, and the goblins are eating the fungus, so that's why the goblins are here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're both legitimate. I've had a ton of fun in both styles.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both real important figures, and it's sad that we have this. But in fairness, Arneson was just putting his head down and working, I think, and Gygax spent a bunch of time in Hollywood. That's part of the reason.
Right.
TSR kind of tanked,
mm-hmm.
and I don't think you need to choose a side, but this is a sad story.
Yeah, it was, and probably the last possible opportunity for Arneson to have any sort of, to try to stake any sort of claim on D&D, and probably Wizards of the Coast at that time. OSR wasn't really a thing. They weren't really interested in the nostalgia of the game. They were just trying to make this, work as well as Magic the Gathering was for them. So, yeah, they didn't have any interest in dredging up the past. They just wanted to make it a profitable future. So, yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, thanks for sending me that. And I'm really curious about Slaying the Dragon. I really want to take a look at that book now because, that's a very interesting part. And, kind of the end, the decline, the 90s decline of TSR is something I don't know that much about because I was kind of out of role-playing at that time. And it's just a shame. It's become what it is, and it'll be one D&D soon, so we won't have to worry about. They'll just delete all of this history anyhow. So,
well, we'll always have TSR 2, 3, and the new TSR to keep the drama moving.
That's right. If you want personality conflict and all of that good stuff, yeah. I mean, it definitely TSR is the name for people fighting over tabletop RPGs and their legacies. Well, speaking of another thing that's moving towards some sort of event horizon, Disney is launching a new card game. So a collectible card game that they hope to go up against Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. So I'm not sure if they acquired them, but they've been working with it's just a partnership. So they partnered with Ravensburger, the board game producer. And the new series, the new collectible card game that they're working on is going to be called Lorcana. Lorcana. So there's no E in there. Lorcana. And that will be coming out in fall of 2023. And basically they want a piece of that, kind of billion-dollar or multi-billion-dollar market that is collectible trading cards that you actually, play, have some sort of game system with. So Ravensburger is a 139-year-old game publisher, and Disney partnered with them to create that Disney Villainous series, which they started in 2018. And so basically that is just everything that Disney owns. All the bad guys are just, mashed together through Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney properties. All those universes are mashed together into a board game where I think you're playing as the villains. I've never played Villainous. I just know it's kind of a more popular kids game. So the brand manager for a veteran of Wizards of the Coast that is working on the gameplay for Disney Arcana said, the basic idea of the game is there is this place called the Great Illuminary. It's a treasury of Disney songs and stories, all of the stories ever made and all of the characters. So the player takes the role of an Illumineer, a powerful sorcerer that has the ability to bring these characters to life off the page. So basically you're going to be casting, instead of using your mana to cast creatures, you're casting Disney locations and properties and characters and songs. So we'll be singing songs and conjuring Disney characters. So it sounds like another kind of mashup similar to Villainous. It'll be a mashup of everything Disney. So everything that Disney has produced, you'll be able to mash up on the board. The game itself will have a modern storybook art style inspired by those like opening painted, classic storybooks of the, Pinocchio and Cinderella and all of that. So both traditional hand-drawn and fairy tale storybook with new digital techniques. So this reminded me, though, of a very funny fact. So did you know that the Kingdom Hearts, the original Kingdom Hearts game that was produced by Square Enix, so that's a mashup of Final Fantasy and Disney characters.
Yeah.
So Square Enix originally approached LucasArts. So LucasArts was approached before that to mash up Star Wars and Final Fantasy. And LucasArts said, that's insane. That doesn't make any sense. How would we even do that? And so they passed on the deal. And so Square Enix went to Disney after that. So that's why we got Kingdom Hearts. But we could have gotten a Final Fantasy Star Wars mashup if LucasArts knew what in the world they were talking about.
So is there wiggle room, I wonder, in their licensing? Because it's Disney.
Yeah, now it's all Disney. Yeah.
To slip in Star Wars and Marvel?
They probably could, yeah.
Because they already licensed those to other companies.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true.
So I wonder how that will work.
Yeah, so someday we may see that, but that was their original idea. So it's a very funny Japanese idea to like want to mash up these very random things. So yeah, this basically, what's up?
I was just thinking there's that old fighting video game that they ported in the Star Wars characters into.
I think Soul Calibur had like Darth Vader. Calibur. Yeah, it had Darth Vader and some some random characters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Star Wars fighting games have never done well. Yeah, but this sounds like so it's going to be so fans of collectible card games and of course Disney collectors will probably go crazy for this, but it sounds like they're scaling it down to be a very family friendly game. There's not been a preview of the actual gameplay itself, but Miller also said that Magic, I would say, has a very high competition level. People love that about Magic. We've pulled back from that, and we wouldn't say this is a cooperative game. It's definitely a strategy game, but we've pulled back the confrontation level because we feel that it will appeal more to a lot of folks instead of very competitive card players. So there won't be any official tournaments, maybe, of Lorcana. But you can think of it as chess as the highest level of which what you can get. So there's a bunch of notches behind that because we want people to have fun, I guess. So it's not going to be as complicated as chess. I don't understand what that statement was trying to say, but it's going to be a family friendly kind of fun and easy game to play. So we're going to get the first look at this at the D23 Expo September 9th in Anaheim, California. So I don't know if there's really room in the market. I mean, Magic the Gathering and both Magic the Gathering and Pokemon were kind of lightning in a bottle. They were the right property at the right time. And now they have so much nostalgia and multiple generations of players. So I don't know if getting in that market is actually going to be that easy for, Disney is a strong IP, but if they don't have a interesting game, if it's just a bunch of, Disney characters on shiny cards, I don't know if that's going to do it.
It will. Okay, well, when you first tipped me to this, my first question was, is this a Wizards thing? Mm-hmm. Because Wizards is notorious for putting out a new collectible card game and then, it's not making as much money as Magic. It's out of here.
Right.
They've abandoned so many collectible card games over the years. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
But since it is not them, it's Ravensburger. Ravensburger actually, they put out high quality product. Mm-hmm. I've played a few of their games, and I haven't played Villainous, but I've played a few. The components are good. I've never really had issues with the rules or anything. They put out quality product, so that's good. Mm-hmm. Then it's Disney. It's Disney, so you instantly have a certain subset of people who are just going to buy it because it's Disney.
Right.
So probably it's not going to make the kind of money that a Magic or a Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh has made. But I bet you it makes more money than almost all the other collectible card games.
Right.
Just because it's Disney. Mm-hmm. So then it'll just become like a sort of a profit decision down the road. Disney will be like, is this making enough money? Is this worth it? Mm-hmm. I'm sure it'll be making a ton of money from Ravensburger's point of view.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I bet you it has more legs than your typical collectible card game release. But yeah, being geared towards maybe family or kind of children, I don't see the serious gamer section of the hobby picking it up and running with it.
Right.
It's good that they're not going to do real tournaments, because if you've ever been to a serious Magic the Gathering tournament, they're like everything wrong with the internet sitting across the table from you.
Right, in real life.
People get so shitty at Magic tournaments, it's unreal. At real ones.
Yeah.
Not your casual local ones necessarily,
right.
But like the serious ones. So I don't know. I mean, I bet you it lasts longer than most new collectible card games.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be just a little blip as far as the more serious part of the hobby market.
Right. Yeah, they'll have different opportunities to promote it as well, because they could, do like promotional cards at parks and at movie releases and stuff. So they'll have some opportunities to tie things in that may make it more visible, and especially if they're going for a family kind of younger kid audience. Yeah, that they may be able to hit them in the right places, as well as like having it available at convenience stores and toy stores and stuff. So who knows? But I don't know. The Disney brand, they're so big now. When I think of Disney, I don't even have a clear picture of what that is anymore, because they just own so much. So
Nope.
yeah, it's very different from those old VHS days where they would take something out of the vault and try to sell it sell it to you for the third time in a decade.
Did they say anything about like having chase cards, like foils or epic rares or anything?
Yeah, one of the designers was talking about there was the Ravensburger Warner from Ravensburger said, those little paint chips that people have sometimes when they're painting their houses. Well, our art director has one of those from the manufacturer with all different foil treatments for the cards, holographic with ink spills, with stars. Yeah, he kicked me out of the office the other day. I'm kidding, but I could sit there for hours looking at those pretty things. I'd have to say, a person who collects Pokemon cards, especially shiny evolutions, will be really excited. So I can't wait to add more cards to my collection. Yeah, so already the people working on the game are excited about like how shiny and collectible they're able to make it. So it will be. I think it will be foil and iridescent and sparkly and everything you always dreamed of.
So you're gonna get a new when the next big Disney or Pixar type movie comes out, you're gonna get a set for this game, and in that will be like foil epic rares.
Right.
And even though like most adults aren't even playing the game, the value of those cards is just gonna go through the roof.
Yeah, well, and this might be a good time actually to just make a series that will be collectible, especially if this is a failure. The cards will have value then, because they won't produce too many of them. Because we were just talking about last week, eBay is getting into the collectible card, like grading cards and storing cards, and they bought TCG Player, which is a huge marketplace of buying and selling like singles of Magic cards and Pokemon and stuff. So yeah, maybe it's a good time to just get in and on the with a perspective, what is that called? The speculator market. This might be a perfect time for people that are like, not only are these cards, but these are going to pay for your college education.
Yeah, right. The next Black Lotus is going to be like the Hunchback from Notre Dame Chase Rare.
Right. Yes.
Something ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There'll be some manufacturing problem that'll create this crazy rarity. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting. I like that you said that the company does quality stuff. So at least the cards themselves will be actually nice, physically nice pieces, So that might help a lot. And I think that helps too that Disney didn't go with a cheap kind of producer, because then, it just looks like a cash grab instead of something that you might actually want to collect. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we talked about everything but actual role-playing games today. There was very little news as far as I think recently it's just been so much 5e that without torturing Chris, there's no reason to get into.
Backdoor talking about it with the Astral thing.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of random stuff. But yeah, thanks so much, Matt, for helping me out this week doing this. And I wanted to talk about, you have a new release. You have a new book that's on Drive-Thru RPG. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first of all the awesome art in it is by our own Jeremy.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
It's called Bridge and Track. It's for the Twilight 2000 4th edition. If you're not familiar, it's published by Free League. They're very creator friendly. They have workshop tools that anybody can access to make their own sort of third-party products, or at least get started so that your books look kind of like their book. Mm-hmm. And then you can post them on Drive-Thru RPG. They have just automatically set up. You say, this is for Free League Workshop, and it just slots you right in. You get 50%. They take the other 50%. So this is a book of 2 adventure sites for the game. Game's pretty cool in that they don't have like seriously detailed adventures in the conventional sense. They preview an adventure site with interesting characters and interesting location. They sort of they usually build in a clock. So there's like a series of events that are probably going to occur in a certain order to kind of create the tension and drama. And so I made 2 of those and put them in a book. One is based around sort of a classic war movie trope of a bridge. If you don't know, Twilight 2000 is sort of a post-apocalyptic game, but not with mutants or anything like that.
Right.
So that setting is 2 rival groups living across a partially ruined bridge. And then the second one is actually a group of settlers, survivors, who've discovered an old racetrack in the wilderness. And the head of the settlers before the war, was a race car driver. So he's actually refurbished things enough that he can have races. And so I built sort of these optional race rules that you can use, and your Twilight 2000 characters can actually race on a racetrack. They're not super in depth, but I think they're fun. So that's up on drive-thru right now. My second one, I did one with Jeremy earlier called Friend or Foe. That was a bunch of encounters for the game, because there's a lot of travel in that game, so encounters are real critical. So yeah, it was fun. Check it out if you're into Twilight 2000 or you just want to see something. And it's got some cool Jeremy art. Yeah. And I even make little art cards of all his characters that he made for me and put it on a page in the back of each book.
Oh, excellent.
Check it out.
Oh, very cool. All right. Yeah, so I'll put a link to that to the drive-thru link. And yeah, that was really fun to work on, Matt. I love your creativity. Your character descriptions are really evocative, so I always have a lot of fun ideas about how to draw the characters. So yeah.
Cool.
Definitely
Thanks.
check it out. All right. So where can people find you? Is there any social media or anything you want to let people know about?
I'm on Twitter. My handle is Hargald. It's HAARGALD. I try to keep it to game talk, but I occasionally delve into my other interests like Formula One, and I'm a little bit of a lefty, so if that offends you, don't look at my Twitter. Not as much as Chris. Chris goes all in sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, it's fun. I'm on there, and of course I've got the 2 things on drive-thru, hopefully to add more soon, especially because this new freely game Dragonbane is going to be very third-party friendly. They're making a big deal out of it. Like, it's literally multiple spots in the Kickstarter. They talk about how they want to promote it through third-party developers. So
wow.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we'll be playing, hopefully within a week. We'll be playing the new quick start that was posted on the Kickstarter itself for Dragonbane. It's all set up in Owlbear.Rodeo, so we just need to get some time to run through that. It was a little like kind of mini adventure that they put in the back of the quick start rules. Well, very cool. Well, I'm still doing my single panel gag cartoon weekly. So a live stream for that is under Abuse Cartoons on both YouTube and Twitch. So sometimes Matt is in the chat.
Sometimes.
So take a look at that. And so, I just draw the cartoon and just talk about random stuff and eat things from Japanese convenience stores. And I've had a string of bad luck recently. So there have been some pretty brutal snacks. But and then also Upturned Table. So what we do here on the weekly, you can find on upturntable.com, Upturned Table on social media. And if you want to support what we're doing and become a weekling to tell us what should be on the weekly, visit patreon.com/upturntable. So that'll do it for this week. So thanks again to Matt for helping me out with all of these exciting topics that were role play adjacent, tabletop, but role play adjacent, and we'll have more again next week. So that's all for this week. See you again.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye.
Ooh.
All right. So that'll do it. We can take a look. Yeah, we'll take a look at the chat.
Miguel and Abyss are in there.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Hey, Miguel, how's it going? Oh, a plague of Drow Ranger. A plague of Drow Rangers on your campaign. Very nice. Yeah, Abyss called Drizzt. Drizzt, the Gary stew that gives Ray a run for her money. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, somebody was just talking about in the game group that literally they needed a character. Like someone was on the phone at Wizards and they said, "We need a character. We're looking for something. How about a drow with 2 swords and a tiger and a white tiger or whatever?" Like, okay, that's great. Or a panther or whatever he rides, his familiar. And then so it was just basically this like throwaway idea that became this like named character that people identify with, 90s D&D.
I tried reading one of the books one time and I couldn't get into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I might have been bringing my bias about the character into it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I was surprised. I forget. I've read a couple R.A. Salvatore books, and I can't remember. But I was surprised by the like kind of the sophistication and the kind of grit of the writing. I expected, because one of them was a D&D. It might have been a Drizzt novel. That it was a lot darker than I thought it would be, so it was a little bit surprising. But I can't believe there's 40 of those. There's 40 Drizzt books. That's insane. They really milked that character.
They milked it so much they gotta make a webtoon.
Yeah, now it's a webtoon. I can't imagine. Oh, Abyss was saying, what's that?
I was just gonna ask, is it fully? I didn't really understand. Is it fully animated or is it just a comic strip?
I think so. No, I think it's it's just low quality animation. From what it looked like, I'm not sure. I haven't actually seen. I could actually look it up. I hope that it doesn't make too much noise here. Mm-hmm. But I actually haven't seen this site. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's actually like a web comic. Oh wait, it may be. No, it is. You're right. It's digital comics. Well, they shouldn't call it tunes. Yeah, that's really confusing. Yeah, so it's a series, very and without too much bias, very shoujo manga, very girl friendly, a lot of like romance categories and stuff. Yeah, so it's not actually animation; it's Korean drawn digital comics. Yeah, so I guess that's why it's a phone app. Yeah, so not animation. So yeah, sorry if that was misleading during the main cast, but they release something every day of the week on ongoing series. There's a daily release. Yeah, I don't know.
So they probably went with them more just because they have a platform.
I think so. Yeah, that's true. I don't see anything. I don't see any of the Marvel or DC stuff, but they just may be the production house for that stuff. Yeah. Oof. It's huge though. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's almost too much. It would be hard to find something interesting. Kind of like iTunes, when you're just scrolling, you're like, I don't know how to find anything new to listen to because it's just a bunch of boxes. Yeah. Very similar. Interesting. So Korean run digital comics called Webtoons. That name was a little misleading. Yeah, I thought for sure some of the still images that I saw that they were promoting looked like they were stills from animation. They had a little bit of dynamic movement to them. So I thought they were stills from animation, but I guess they were panels from a comic. There weren't any word balloons or anything, so that's what made it a little. So I wonder if they read dynamically or not, or if they're just stills. Yeah. Oh yeah, it looks like it's kind of Instagram generation style of reading digital comics. It's just an endless scroll. So every panel is like an individual frame, and you just
for your phone.
Yeah. So it's made for phones, and you're just scrolling. But yeah, I've started to see more and more of that because the traditional comic book multi-panel page is not that easy to read on a phone, and there's been some kind of workarounds and ways to do that where they kind of focus and it's like a guided tour of a page. But I think just that stream for smartphones especially, just that stream of images, like Instagram is exactly how you'd want to read something. So that's it looks like what they did. You just you just scroll through but that also restricts the art to a weird square. Everything's a weird square.
You scroll fast enough, you can pretend it's animated.
Right. It's almost moving. Yeah, that's sort of funny. Oh, but Abyss mentioned something about the first Dark Souls was rewarding to overcome something and only had a few gimmicks, like a cool duo boss, and then they lost the plot and everything became a gimmick, and you died became a joke. Yeah, I think that's true. Because it started out as that kind of Demon Soul, and then Dark Soul became that so hard that it like felt nostalgic, like dying all the time, like on old NES games. Was very nostalgic for a lot of people. So yeah, trying to translate that into a board game is not easy. Oh, and we were saying that modern 5e gamers wouldn't even know who Gary Gygax was. Miguel said Gygax was a racist guy, in quotes. Yeah, probably the 5th edition players. Yeah, totally. Oh, he was sexist and racist. Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's already been canceled, I'm sure.
In his defense, I think Gygax was more just a guy of his time.
Mm-hmm.
It's his children that don't have an excuse. But yeah.
That's true. Yeah. So Abyss also said people are going on gonna go hard trying to get those first editions. Yeah, Kickstarter has seen a few of them with massive funding beyond that they should have due to Flesh and Blood. Oh, I'm not sure what where we're talking about. Oh, and
Flesh and Blood is a card game, right?
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So collectible card games. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that first set, I'm sure that first run of cards, people might go after really hard. That's a good point. Yeah, and then of course, and why is Disney like missing out on NFTs if they're going to do Disney art and Disney collectible cards? There you go, magical NFTs in every pack.
Oh, there'll be like QR codes to buy your NFT. Oh no.
That's funny. Oh, and Miguel said that's why I complained so hard when the fanfic of the Rings people started saying that there have never been any black elves in media before. Yeah, Drizzt. Yeah, I mean, Drow were definitely depicted as very dark. I think they've kind of retconned that, haven't they? Like Drizzt is kind of becoming this like pale purple looking. It's like his skin color is changed, but originally Drow were depicted as very, very dark skin.
Miguel opened up the box. We got to talk about it.
We got to talk about it.
Did you watch it?
I did. I literally fell asleep twice. I put it on late when I was like putting together the notes for the cast, and there were a couple of points where I was just like, I don't even care what's happening. Yeah, I kind of nodded off a couple of times during that 2 hours, which is surprising. I mean, it wasn't like particularly boring. It's just the pacing wasn't. I guess it wasn't movie pacing. It's TV show pacing. Yeah. And when you watched a couple episodes in a row, unless they're really got you hooked on something, and especially when it jumped around, like I could feel my attention level just dip. Like as soon as I saw the little Harfoots, I would just be like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I just stopped looking at the screen.
So I messaged you about this, but
yes.
I thought it looked good for the most part. And the rest of it was just kind of okay. It didn't piss me off like Wheel of Time.
Right.
Like there's clearly an effort at quality and direction going on, but it's just kind of okay. It's not. And the fact that they have Howard Shore and there's parts in that soundtrack where you're just like, oh well, he's just doing stuff he did from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The dwarf stuff was kind of fun. I enjoyed the dwarf stuff. The sea wreck thing? Okay. I know Tolkien elves are amazing. I get it.
Physically,
but Galadriel was swimming in ocean.
Yes.
Like, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of silly. And then there's some dumb Tolkien geek stuff going on that I think they're hand waving. Like, by the time that this is going on, I'm pretty sure Galadriel is already supposed to be married to Celeborn.
Right, right.
And have the kid that becomes Elrond's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't, I don't think they even hinted at any of that.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with that. But, so I think they're just kind of making it up.
Mm-hmm. It feels like that very much. And it felt like so unimportant that this is actually Lord of the Rings. I mean, I think they wasted $250 million buying those rights because it feels generic fantasy. It doesn't, feel uniquely, Middle Earth. There's, and especially even like a lot of the acting, like the elves don't feel ethereal and otherworldly, and the hobbits, feel just like little hobos, and it just like the feeling of the characters is off. And I guess their excuse or their justification for that is this is before, like, if you've ever seen depictions, of Middle Earth, this is so far before that of course everything is different, but that doesn't explain it. That doesn't make it work any better.
Yeah, because it feels like the Harfoots, they're just in there so they can have hobbits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not in there. They don't need to be in there.
Right.
So they put them in, and then they're like, oh, one of those million Tolkien scholars they hired is like, well, the Harfoots are like proto-hobbits. They're not really hobbits. So then they turn them into sort of these weird, I don't know, camouflage gypsies or something. I don't know what's going on with that.
It's very odd.
And the meteor thing, that's I don't remember that. Is that in the Silmarillion?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're actually depicting. Yeah, because I've heard people say that the wizards, like what we know is the wizards in the canon, didn't exist, for like 1,000 years before this setting. But I think they're trying to do some early being, like that, like it's one of those early, like Gandalf angel kind of beings.
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. Is like, is that like Gandalf Mark I, or is that some other wizard?
Yeah. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with that. But they just, it's weird because it seems like they want to have these identifiable things. They want to have a tall bearded, wizard with a hobbit, and so they just made it happen. And regardless of how that actually makes sense in the lore, they just wanted to make identifiable things happen. The thing that really occurred to me, apart from like, why does this have to be Middle Earth, is also like, who is this for? I don't understand like the audience for this, because I was pretty bored by it. It's not complicated and like kind of rich enough in that setting to make me want to follow what's going on. It's real. It's not edgy. Like originally, I think the quote from Bezos was, "I want my Game of Thrones," so that's why they bought the rights to, or tried to get rights to Lord of the Rings, so they wanted to do their Game of Thrones. And there was all kinds of like kind of cautionary things, like they were talking about, there's going to be people, going to be an advisor for an intimacy advisor or an intimacy director or whatever. So it kind of hinting that there was going to be more adult content in the story. They obviously gave up completely on that because this is very G-rated. It's bloodless killing. Like when the ice troll was killed, it was completely bloodless, and so there's very little, grit at all. There's no, yeah. So it seems like they.
I wouldn't want sexy hobbits.
Right.
I mean, I don't. That's not what I go to. Tolkien, I go to for the high fantasy, the high concept stuff. Like, so
no, that's true.
That they would even consider that is disturbing.
Oh yeah, but I think that was one of the first reports that we were getting, is that there was an intimacy director hired, and it's like, so we're gonna see hobbit sex, or what are we gonna see? Yeah, so I think it's very wrongheaded. Like a lot of stuff that like Amazon's game studio and like everything, it's just wrongheaded. It's just a lot of egos and say, give me one of those, knock that off. and let's see if we can make money on it. Because I watched the first 2 episodes of House of the Dragon, the prequel Game of Thrones thing. I'm already like much more into that than I think could ever be for this Lord of the Rings series, and that's not particularly interesting. And I'm still so damaged from the sham that was like 7th and 8th the 7th and 8th season of Game of Thrones. I don't want to ever rewatch that, but I still love that world. I think Westeros is a fun setting.
I wasn't gonna watch it. I wasn't really interested.
Mm-hmm.
But after watching these 2 episodes, I kind of want to go watch the first 2 episodes of that.
Oh yeah.
And just sort of so I can criticize them both equally.
Right.
But did you hear what HBO did?
No.
On the Rings of Power release day, they put the first episode up for free on YouTube.
Oh.
House of Dragon.
Uh-huh.
This is a big middle finger to Jeff.
That's funny. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really strange. The Rings of Power is a really, really strange way to go about anything, because they're not making anybody happy, and I don't think they're going to bring any new people into Tolkien's works or into the setting at all, because it just it's very odd how they're handling it, and very watered down. I don't know. I mean, I guess if people, those small number of people that have been dying for representation in an old classic fantasy setting, okay, you've got more of that than you've ever had before, and that's it. Is that the only audience they were going after? I don't know.
So I think it's a shame that the Conan reboot was such a terrible movie, because I think that is the one that would, if well done, would work right now, because it would fit between both.
Right.
It would fit. It's got more fantasy than Game of Thrones usually does. But it has the violence and sexual overtones, obviously, of Game of Thrones.
Right.
But it has more magic sometimes, and more of this, supernatural evil and stuff like that going on, which maybe leans a little more the other way. So if that could be well done, I think a good Conan series right now would probably be the fix for all of this stuff.
Yeah, and Amazon blew that. They had the rights. They were going to do a Conan series, and then there was a management change, and I think the director, the head of Prime, a woman, took over and looked at Conan and said, "There's no way we can work with this character," and she basically canceled Conan in her mind, and they killed the series. But there was, in development, there was I'm not sure it was King Conan or if it was a Conan series for Amazon that got completely nixed with a change of management.
And if you want to talk representation, because the Conan world is basically Europe, Middle East, and Africa, he's adventuring alongside just a huge band of multicultural folk.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, you'd have to step away from Howard himself, because that guy was kind of racist. But the modern vision of that could be, check all those boxes as far as diversity, and not have to get weird about it, not have to be like, I don't know why this one hobbit doesn't look like any of the other hobbits, but he lives in this little tiny village. You don't have to explain any of that, because this person is from here and this person is from here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that would, man, we should make a movie.
No, I think you're right in as far as that setting. Like it doesn't have the problem of they were just depicting England, and so how are you going to work a diverse cast into what was just fantasy England? Because Hyborian didn't have that. Doesn't have that problem. Yeah, interesting. So let's see, anything else in the chat. Oh, interesting. Abyss made a good point. Yeah, maybe they don't even have they don't have the rights to like the characters they're not depicting, like Galadriel's husband and Elrond's, their daughter who becomes Elrond's wife. Maybe they don't have the rights to those characters because they only have a certain number of pages. So if those characters don't exist in that appendices, they just have to write around them. Yeah.
And Celeborn is in the Lord of the Rings, so
right.
yeah, he might be off limits.
That's so funny. Yeah, I
Even
really,
though he barely does anything.
yeah. I was surprised. Going back to the Rings of Power, I was surprised there's not any great actors in that whole series. There's nobody with like real gravitas. I mean, I guess the I'm not thinking, I can't think of his name, but the elf ranger, the one that has the love affair with it, he has like a decent screen presence, but basically nobody else does. Nobody else like has the Galadriel, the actress that's playing Galadriel, is her voiceover was so mousy, like the tone of her voice and everything is so mousy and like pixie-ish that it doesn't even read as Galadriel to me when she was doing voiceover. So yeah, I don't.
This is a nerd thing. Apparently, elven plate mail is so good, you don't have to wear any kind of undergarment with it.
That's right.
You go straight from elven plate mail to your linen whatever. No chafing. That stuff's amazing.
That was so funny. Yeah. When they're undressing them, on the boat. Yeah, right. It's just like they have just like linen gowns underneath.
Yeah.
Yep. Very well made. Oh man.
Yeah, I thought that ranger guy, whose name I've already forgotten, I've just been calling him the Wood Elf, but I thought he was pretty good. I thought the village headman guy of the Harfoots was pretty good, even though he's one of the characters that people on the internet are angry about. I thought Durin was pretty good.
Oh yeah, right.
But yeah, overall they were pretty bland, pretty generic.
Yeah. I was surprised.
I saw a criticism that it was kind of like a level was kind of Warner Brothers TV show level. And I don't think it's that bad, but maybe closer to that than you would like.
Yeah. It seems like with that budget, they could have gotten some commitment from some pretty amazing actors. And yeah, it just seems like a BBC production, like, kind of level of casting. Yeah. I don't know.
Look what you did, Miguel. Look what you did. By the way, I keep having to let through a bunch of his comments.
Oh yeah.
That's
Nice.
like 4 now, Miguel.
Nice. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you're sexist if you don't believe that Galadriel can swim an entire ocean. Yeah.
Hey, I have no problem with Galadriel being a badass because Tolkien's elves are badass. But an ocean?
Yeah. Yeah, that obviously looks like just a tank. Like they didn't. Yeah, they're obviously just in a stage, soundstage. Yeah, tank. For all
I
of
thought
that.
the northern waste expedition part looked pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I thought that looked pretty good. Shot pretty well. And we got to see one orc.
Right.
In both episodes.
That's right. And the dwarf stronghold, the Khazad Dune, that shot was pretty cool. The because we'd only seen kind of the rune version of that, we've only seen that destroyed in Moria. So that was pretty cool to see that thriving and alive, and also to realize how old that really is then, how long ago that had been, when we were in the third age in Lord of the Rings. That was kind of cool. They got to do more of that, kind of giving you this scale and context of stuff, but who knows. Nice.
It's kind of The other thing is when Sauron does show up and start deceiving people, there's no tension. There's no, everyone already knows. If you know anything about the story, you already know. That's Sauron. He's gonna fool all these people. It's like a Columbo mystery where you already know who killed the person.
Right.
Right. It's I don't know. The stakes aren't very high.
Yeah, and I guess are they relying on people having like no idea, no information, and going into this so that they think they're creating some mystery? Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I don't know, and I can't see. I don't want this to get to the point where so many of these series get, where you just have walking and talking, like they have the low budget episodes where they have to just kill a bunch of time, fill an episode up with a little bit of exposition, and like those, that just becomes really brutal. Yeah, that's the thing I don't like about streaming, is when they stretch a story out much longer than it needs to be. Because right
like
now
when they had the pointless camp scene in Game of Thrones where Ed Sheeran was
oh yeah,
there.
you're right.
That kind of crap.
Yeah, exactly. That filler
Yeah.
stuff where they're saving up their budget for the the finale episode of the season, so nothing happens for the two right before. Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Hey Alvaro, you're missing our Rings of Power rant.
Oh, that's right. Good to see you, Alvaro. Thanks for jumping in the chat a day later than usual. Yeah. I don't know. Some of the stuff that they're introducing is odd. Oh, right. And Abyss was saying, how strong the orc was compared to humans. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he really wrecked the place. That single orc.
And he was just a mundane old school orc, and he was super badass.
Yeah. I guess we've got. There's a lot of stuff that they tease promotional images that we haven't seen yet. Those first two episodes. I mean, I can't imagine. They jumped around the storyline jumped around so much. They already tried to cover a lot, but there's stuff we haven't even seen yet. So it's gonna get pretty hard. That was the thing. I think Game of Thrones had that trouble a bit, and especially as the seasons went along further, is just they had to keep updating you about where characters were and what was going on with them. So you just got 5 minutes every episode of all the running storylines, and I think they're going to run into that, unless things start to coalesce and people are in the same place at the same time. I think you're going to have a lot of this kind of unsatisfying, jumping around between their little plot lines.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them are really that interesting. Yeah, it's a bunch of mysteries and questions. It's like, okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, I guess I'm repeating myself, but it's all solved already.
Yeah, right.
Oh, there's something corrupting the earth. Yeah, it's Sauron. We've been here. We know what's going on.
Yeah, no, that's really true. But at least this is like chronologically leading up, eventually after 1,000 years, it's going to lead up to, the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies. It's not going to lead up to season 8 of Game of Thrones. That's the only advantage that Rings of Power has.
I guess, yeah.
Is you're not waiting it to just go to hell because there's no more book, no more books left.
Of course, technically it's leading up to The Hobbit, which not good. I'm sorry, those movies were not good.
That's true. We have to get through that rocky Hobbit trilogy. It's still amazing they were able to make a trilogy out of the Hobbit, out of that little thin little.
They weren't. Some would say they weren't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I can't imagine how long Rings of Power is going to go, because I heard they were committed to 5 seasons. Like, that was the idea, but they could pull the plug on it at any time, I can imagine. I don't know how it just has to be more than 8 episodes. I think the what they bought from the Tolkien estate was the appendices, an 8 episode or more series. So after the first season they can call it quits, and that'll fulfill what they bought. But that's an expensive 8 episodes. Probably the most expensive television ever made.
And it's full of controversy. Like, I think it has a 80 something on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Mm-hmm.
but Amazon turned off their reviews of it.
I saw that, yeah.
Because they're getting like hate bombed.
Right. Well, I don't think, I mean, I think a lot of the studios, and I don't know why Amazon did this exact same thing, they walked right into the, we got to stop the haters. They walked right into the, pulling the race card and, gender and everything as marketing. Like they're interviewing the stars and saying, it's so important what you're doing. You're the first this, you're the first that. They led with that kind of marketing. And I think that was, you're just, conjuring the trolls, online, and guaranteeing that there's going to be a lot of YouTube videos made about your series with all of those little sound bites from those interviews. They're
literally fanning the flames while trying to take the moral high ground.
Yeah.
It's a lot like D&D versus say like Free League. Like D&D is retconning everything, scrubbing everything, cleaning everything out. And Free League has stuff that maybe is a little borderline in some people's opinion, but they're just kind of like shrug their shoulders and we make games.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Right. Yeah, it's very weird that and I don't like that marketing style. I don't like when they go after that, and it's just, and it also kind of tips you off that they don't have a lot of confidence in the material itself. The word of mouth generating a lot of views or a lot of sales or whatever, that they're feeling a little weak about it, so they gotta like pump you up to be like, yeah, I'm gonna support this because I'm a good person. It's like, what? Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, 84. Oh, Rotten Tomatoes, 84% critics, 35% audience. Wow.
Oh, that was the critics. Okay,
Yeah.
I just glanced at it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. The aggregate's so hard now. I think the Rotten Tomatoes fan aggregate used to be good, but once people realized on the internet, we can bomb this as a tool, it just made it no longer valid. Like,
yeah, that's true.
To me, it should have like a 50-60%. Like, that's how I felt about it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I think you're right, though. People have it's the same thing with Steam. Like people that feel kind of powerless or frustrated with media, that review bombing is like how to express, I don't like this business practice, or I don't like what they did here. And so people are expressing themselves in reviews. So you get this real kind of turbulent, up and down. I notice that with Steam games a lot. When the studio pisses somebody off, there's some statement or whatever, or something is handled wrong and it gets attacked. So it goes negative and then it goes back up to positive. Just, based on, kind of what's happening, either with the company or the content or genre of the game. Yeah. It's very, very odd and unpredictable. Hey, Bastille. How's it going? We're talking Rings of Power. I don't know how long we're going to do that.
Sorry, too long. It's Miguel's fault, though.
Yes. Miguel lit the fire, struck the match that caught all the tinder. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's scary. Yeah, buy your physical copies. Amazon already put those nonsense covers on the Lord of the Rings, like the maybe the mass market or whatever version. Yeah. They have images from the Rings of Power that are on the covers of the Lord of the Rings books now. That's just brutal that they could get away with that. Yeah.
It's like I got rid of all my Blu-rays except for my extended editions of the Lord of the Rings. I still have those.
Oh, nice.
I don't even have a Blu-ray player.
But someday.
Yeah.
Nice. So why did you get rid of? It's just physical media? You're just like, everything's on streaming. Yeah. So why? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I love it that much, I'll buy it, a digital version of it. And I was watching all my Blu-rays on a PlayStation, so
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, it's really weird. I'm starting to get real paranoid about physical media because I'm the way that things can be instantly edited now and stuff. Like you can't trust that Netflix and Disney Plus too. Disney Plus like editing a bunch of Simpsons episodes and things. Like you can't trust that media is going to stay intact. So I'm getting real precious with my physical media. Being this is going to be the only way you can see the original broadcast version of something that's not going to be, you know, sanitized, or we took this word out, or like even like, you know, Apu from The Simpsons. Apu was canceled, you know, from The Simpsons, so they literally could go back and remove every Apu episode or every scene. I guess that would be brutal.
Would they actually like? Oh man!
Dub the or just
reanimate it with a totally different character or something. That would be insane.
They could just find and replace Apu. Yeah.
This is Bill.
Right.
He runs a convenience store.
For some reason, he has an Indian wife, but yeah.
Yeah. Hey, don't judge.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. I don't know. And yeah, Disney's really bad about that, you know, because they're like Song of the South and all of that good stuff that they want to hide from everyone. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Infinity Train. Yeah, that's right. The guy from Infinity Train had to promote piracy so his show could still be watched. That's insane. Yeah, the shows that have been taken off. I don't
even know what that is.
Platform. Yeah, I don't know. It's an animated series, and I think, and it was just removed, like canceled and then removed, and yeah, it's impossible to find. I think during the purge, the kind of recent purge of whoever owns HBO Max now, Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery, whatever. They killed a lot of stuff, and that's insane. And that's what they're saying is like, yeah, physical media and piracy are going to be the only methods of preservation. Yeah. For some of this stuff in the future, because these companies can, if they have the rights, they can do whatever they want. And yeah, the same way that, like, you know, George Lucas claims there's no, you know, original theatrical release version of Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie. We'll never be able to see that because it doesn't exist anymore. Companies will start to claim that. Yeah, no, this is it. The one we cut up is the only version that there is now. Yeah, I forget the story. I never watched Infinity Train, but I read or saw a couple of headlines about what was happening. That really sucks.
Too dark for children?
Wow.
But it's on HBO.
Yeah, well. Yeah, an animated series by Owen Dennis. Oh, yeah, a storyboard artist from the regular show. Yeah, the Cartoon Network. That was I don't think, was that Adult Swim?
I loved regular show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, so it was removed. Yeah, completely removed. Yeah, so 37 series were removed from HBO Max on August 17th of this year. So
so that was part of the culling that new head dude did.
Yeah, right. The one that canceled the Batgirl movie and Scoob 2 and all that. Yeah.
But is greenlighting the Ezra Miller movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but we got to keep Ezra Miller.
Quality decision right there.
He needs a redemption arc. Ezra Miller's redemption arc. He's going into rehab. He's going to turn things around. He's not going to groom. That was. I guess I shouldn't say that word on the internet, but the stuff that he was up to was no damn good. Yeah, that's a shame. But hopefully, I guess the rights stuff. That's the difficulty is you can't have, even if you had alternative like streaming outlets and stuff that supported stuff that was deleted or disappeared. The rights still probably belong to Warner Brothers Discovery. So yeah, there's nobody that's going to be able to do anything with it. Even if they purge it, they probably still own it.
This is going to make me sound old, but is torrenting still a thing?
Of course,
because you could probably find everything you lost if you can torrent it still.
Oh yeah. That's what was that Miguel that was referencing that. There's referencing that the the creator of that show of Infinity Train said, "That's how you watch my show. So go torrent it." Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
So that's probably where all those Warhammer 40K fan videos are, right?
yeah. Oh, probably. Yeah, yeah. I would imagine. Yeah, they keep getting reposted on YouTube though. I keep
They post them and take them down.
yeah. I keep seeing stuff. Yeah, pop up. Yeah.
But do they have like stupid boxes around them? Like once in a while, there's something else flashes on the screen for a little bit. Oh my god, I hate that.
Or the sound is playing at like 2x or like 200% speed. Yeah. Nice.
Torrenting has skyrocketed. I just need a burner computer. I don't want to do it on my regular.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. And I think digital releases, torrenting was kind of reduced to people pointing a camcorder at a movie screen. That was what the content was. But now when stuff is like same day digital, it's very easy to take digitally, exactly off of these streaming platforms now. Like there's really no way there's no protection. There's no way to protect against that. So people have figured out how to do perfect digital copies of a lot of digital stuff. So that's kind of the mistake that they're making with streaming. If it's ever been on a streaming platform, someone has probably made a digital copy of it. So it'll be there. It'll be around.
So my son watched the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power on a pirate streaming site.
Uh-huh.
Specifically out of spite towards Amazon.
Oh,
he didn't want them to get a bump.
Right. No watch, no view registered. Yeah.
RAR BG, huh? All right.
Thank you, Abyss. Yeah. Oh yeah, Abyss was talking about Infinity Train. Yeah, it's crazy. And we're just going to see more of that. We're going to see more and more of that. And I guess now that we're probably leaving the boom, the bubble maybe bursting on streaming, and these companies are starting to get more conservative, we're going to probably lose a lot of content that was stuff that was just they threw money at for like the last 10 years is now suddenly just going to not be a priority anymore. Yeah, so we could lose some stuff. Wow. Yeah. Well, as long as the Embracer Group buys it, we should be safe because they're preserving old PC games, so video games. Yeah.
You watch, Disney's gonna buy Hasbro. And then they'll own Magic the Gathering and D&D. And Embracer will buy all the other VTTs and roll it up into one Embracer VTT. And man.
That would
it's
be
like Cyberpunk without any of the cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a really boring version of Cyberpunk. Yeah. Oh man, yeah, because doesn't embrace means hug, so it's just a group that just wants to hug you. Oh man. Yeah, that would be really scary though. Yeah, if Disney. Somebody big bought Hasbro. Disney would be the worst, but yeah, that would be insane.
I'm trying to think of Hasbro is actually a pretty big company.
Yeah,
so it would take a lot of money to get them.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Disney and Amazon are probably in that league. I don't know. Embracer is getting big, but I don't think they're in that league.
Right. Yeah, probably not. At this point, and I don't know if they have, because Hasbro is so much now. There's so many IPs and everything under Hasbro, and and Wizards of the Coast being just two giant, money making Magic the Gathering and D&D, two giant money making machines. So
Abyss is playing out the Corp Wars here in the chat. Right
nice. Google merges.
Google's on.
Could be really, really brutal. Yeah, I just don't like all the spite that goes on between the competing companies, like how miserable like Amazon devices are not Google friendly, and Apple devices make things harder to do with other platforms. Like I think already Amazon is just trying to avoid being on anyone's mobile phone because of the kind of rights thing. And also, what was the thing recently? Oh yeah, the Kindle. So anything that's a Kindle app, because it would have to go through a store, it'd have to go through an iOS store or an Android store, like the Google App Store. You can't buy digital books now on any app because it would only have to be an Amazon device is the only way you could buy a book. So it has to be either the website or an Amazon device, because they don't want anybody to get a cut of their kind of priced fixed ebooks. So Kindle has become a weird thing now. Yeah, but that just keeps happening. That you keep running into all those. The CEO will be an immortal AI. Dougalzilla. Dougalzoni will reign supreme. Nice.
Is there going to be a vault of heads and bottles?
Yeah, right.
Hasbro has a net worth of $10.9 billion. Woo.
Wow, that's what, like half a season of Rings of Power? No. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, so that's true. Yeah, Google or Amazon, or even I don't know why Microsoft would, but yeah, a company like Microsoft, there's like a lot of companies that's within reach. Yeah, because that's the problem. Is Hasbro is just, it's so much physical goods. Yeah, so they don't have that digital, like insane digital value that a lot of other companies have.
But they're gonna have D&D 1.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I think that's why they're pushing that, and that's why they're hiring the former Microsoft executives, because they want that, they want their assets to be these intangible digital things that you can overvalue. Because if you just make board games in China, it's like it's very easy to count those. Yeah, that's right.
Amazon turned down the opportunity to buy something big recently. Can't remember. It was a really big property. For some reason, they were like, nah.
Yeah, well, they're talking about with the Embracer buying the Saul Zaentz Lord of the Rings rights. They were saying, why didn't Amazon do that? Like, Amazon easily could have afforded, because the price was not. Well, I don't think they've released the price yet, but it wasn't huge. It wasn't out of the range of Amazon's ability to buy it. So yeah, that was very, very mysterious that they're paying so much money for the rights to nothing, almost nothing, where they could have owned whatever. I guess it still hasn't been like legally determined what Saul Zaentz even owns, because supposedly film distribution rights are still in the hands of Warner Brothers, MGM, whoever, and then the book publishing rights are still not part of that.
I think the entire run of the Lord of the Rings films, they were in open litigation with him or Saul Zaentz.
You're right.
Company.
Yeah. I think you're right.
The whole time those movies were out. So yeah, there's like a lot of unsettled crap with that, I think.
Yeah. I guess Embracer's going to figure it out. Their lawyers are going to figure it out. Yeah, because it was part of the statement during that purchase. Some spokesperson for Embracer Group said, "We have yet to determine, the publishing rights. So they may go after whatever publishing house is doing the Lord of the Rings books and say, hey, yeah, we own this." Amazing. And all of Tolkien's grandchildren will be insanely rich.
Yeah, they're covered. They're good.
Yeah. Make Middle Earth great again.
You have Harfoots running around with little red hats on.
Oh man. Yeah, that was it felt very Jim Henson or something to me when they had concealed their whole camp with all these little flaps and things. And when they opened everything back up, it felt like Fraggle Rock or something. It was like Fraggle Rock style. Yeah.
So I'll tell you, the chord that struck with me immediately
Mm-hmm.
was Willow. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that felt like something that could be in the new Willow series they're making, and
Right, right.
probably should have been,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a much different tone
Mm-hmm.
theoretically.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's
You know,
true.
so in the right context, I would not be mad at silly little Hobbit people hiding camouflage.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It just seemed unnecessary in that show.
Mm-hmm. It didn't feel right. That's right. We're getting a Willow. There's a streaming series for Willow as well coming out.
Hmm.
Jeez.
Which I'm old, so I'm gonna watch it because I like Will.
Yeah. Right. And uh, the original actor's going to be in it, right? He's going to still be.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
Old Man Willow.
Yeah. Old man Willow. That's right. That's right.
So Miguel said, "I knew hobbits were goblins in denial." Miguel, you need to play Forbidden Lands.
Oh yeah, they are.
Hobbits and goblins in that game are literally just two sides of the coin.
Yep.
Like when a mother of either has a baby, it's 50-50 whether it comes out a hobbit or a goblin. Hilarious.
Yeah. And all of the carousing and drinking that hobbits do is just to hide all of the horror and guilt of, like, having thrown their babies down wells and stuff because of their 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 actual dark behavior.
That was awesome. It was like the hobbits, they are halflings.
Yeah.
They seem all pleasant when you come to their village, but at night, oh man, they're beating their children and snorting weird herbs, and they're going crazy.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, they're cannibals in Dark Sun? I didn't remember.
Yeah, halflings are like jungle cannibals. Yeah, yeah.
I don't think WotC would even try to do Dark.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's why the Three Kreen made it into the Spelljammer book. They're not in. Are they? I think they are. Maybe they're in Spelljammer, either in Spelljammer or that multiverse, Monsters of the Multiverse. But yeah, they took that insectoid race from Dark Sun, and so I think they're just going to maybe cherry pick the stuff that they think they can, get out of there. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. So and weekly releases, I think I'm gonna not even notice, Rings of Power for a while. I'll just let the episodes build up because I have.
Is it a 10-episode season?
I probably, yeah. I haven't seen what the count is. Yeah, it's either 8 or 10. Yeah.
I'll probably let it run and then go back, watch a couple more, and then decide, am I going to keep doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because you get one slow episode and I'll just be done. I mean, that happens a lot with Netflix, series. You watch something, you get to a really meandering, boring episode, just like, okay, I'm not going to ever get back to this.
Like the tragedy that was their Lock and Key series. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What a disappointment.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really disappointing streaming stuff, like either stuff that was canceled before it got a chance to be good, or stuff that just shouldn't have gone on as long as it did.
Yeah.
I think it's still such a new medium. Like, people don't have a formal idea, because we kind of knew what a television like miniseries was, or a weekly TV series, and nobody knows what streaming is. So they just make it work financially, I guess, is why they're all so random in quality and length and stuff.
Yeah, and I still don't understand what Netflix uses to determine if it's going to keep a series or not.
Yeah, there was a guy, a a TV producer that has a YouTube channel that was talking about pitching to Netflix, and he had a successful, I think, documentary that he did on Netflix, and literally they have some analytics that they're looking at. And so when you pitch something to them, they're kind of like, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. What did his last series do? Or what did his last, documentary or whatever do? And they look at those numbers and they're like, okay, we'll give you this much, for that. So it seems like they are real, stat based, they're very, and especially now, maybe because, that kind of golden age of investment, Netflix had so much money coming in, they were just letting anybody with any name recognition or anything do something. But now they're turning to their analytics and basically saying, okay, you performed like this, so we'll give you this budget for your next thing, because we can expect at least this much new subscribers or whatever they measure as value. I wonder what that actually is.
So then it begs the question, how do new people break into it? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Do you have to put it on YouTube and get 2 million views and then they'll talk to you or something?
Yeah, I think now they're pretty much done, looking at new stuff. I think they that's at least what I've read in various. It's like that golden age of Netflix will make anything or they'll throw money at anybody is kind of over. But they have very specific goals now, probably like Academy Award stuff, or things that will create new audiences or whatever. It's probably become a priority because they're seeing that shrinking. They're starting to, the subscriber base is shrinking, and they never thought that would happen. I think they thought they could keep expanding into international markets and things so that they would see a subscriber increase, forever. And they post-pandemic, post-lockdown, they realized, wait a minute, people are getting bored. Yeah, that's funny. Wow. Yeah, for Forbidden Lands, yeah. So, yeah, how much Forbidden Lands have you played, Matt?
Oh, so I had, what did they call them? I had a pod during the deep pandemic. I had a little pod of friends who we were all vaccinated, and we all trusted each other. So we had a in-person game.
Oh, cool.
That it was one of the longest campaigns I've run. Very long time. It ran. They have the standard campaign in Forbidden Lands called Raven's.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I ran the whole thing.
Wow.
And we went a little over a year. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Nice.
And it's a great system, because even though you have this campaign, it's very do it the way you want, because we want you to hex crawl and explore and improvise. So we hit all the big highlights of the campaign, but in between they're hex crawling, and I wrote a few adventures. We did some on the fly adventures, because they have great systems in there for kind of on the fly generating adventure sites and things like that. So yeah, that was a ton of fun. That was probably the longest campaign I've run in 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's a real nice thing to come out of the pandemic. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool. So, you're interested in Bitter Reach, the next thing that they expand? I guess they've got.
The new one's Blood March.
Blood March. Oh yeah, but the one before that, yeah.
Yeah, Bitter Reach is in the north. That's like the frozen waste kind of thing.
Right.
I don't own that one.
Oh, okay.
I guess because we played so much Forbidden Lands, we really wanted to shift gears afterward.
Yeah. Right.
But I have Blood March coming, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, cool. Nice. Abyss is jealous of your Forbidden Lands campaign. Oh man!
I'm telling you, Jeremy, you got to set up a Patreon level so.
Oh, we should. Yeah,
one of these guys can play with us or something.
That would be really cool. Yeah, because especially if we can get Foundry. Yeah, Foundry will have a gorgeous Forbidden Lands module, so we can run it online. Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, that's something to think about, because obviously if we can stream together, we can game together. So yeah.
And Owlbear's free, like you pointed out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Abyss said, "I will pay. All right, we gotta figure that out. Uh-oh. Somebody's professional GMing career has just begun.
Oh, that's pressure out here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
My friends went the other direction and moved away from RPGs and now stick to board games. Yeah.
Uh,
Once the pandemic cooled down, we had that same problem. Like real life intruded,
mm-hmm.
and suddenly it became a lot harder to schedule stuff.
Right. Yeah. Jobs and everything. Oh, yeah, interesting. Yeah. I'm with the kind of main group. We haven't played. It's just been so sporadic, and the spikes in Japan have been so different from other parts of the world that we haven't met in months now. We had beginning of this year, like early this year, we got together a few times, but yeah, we haven't met at all. So yeah, I haven't seen Chris, for a tabletop role playing session outside of the weekly. We haven't done anything but miniature skirmish, stuff. That's all we've been able to do because we can only get the two of us together. So yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, but that's worth thinking about. That would be fun to I'd love to run because I just ran the kind of the maybe it was the quick start or whatever, the early, like the very first adventure was when the Kickstarter was going on for Forbidden Lands. So we did the character creation, and then I did the little beginning hex crawl, and but we only had the one session. But yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, Forbidden Lands is solid. I think all the Free League stuff is solid. Like I'm really looking forward to Dragonbane.
Yeah. I was really especially after, maybe if we hadn't played Blade Runner, I wouldn't have been so happy. I would have had questions about the system, but knowing how well Blade Runner worked, I really like the elements of that are in the kind of year zero elements that are in Dragonbane. So yeah, it feels good.
I saw an interesting breakdown of the Free League Kickstarters and the power of licensing. So their typical like backer count for one of their house games is like 7,000, that range.
Right.
Alien and Blade Runner were both over 15,000.
There you go. Yeah.
So it's literally doubling the buy-in,
right?
Because it's a big license.
Yeah. I wonder what that license does to their budget. It must. It doesn't double it probably, so that they're making a lot more. Their reach is a lot bigger. That's interesting.
Their fulfillment goal for Dragonbane was like $9,000.
Oh wow!
That was like to reach their target. They set it at $9,000, and they're like at $500,000 right now.
Right. Nice. Yeah. I was talking to Ben, the developer from Bandit Camp that did Wicked Ones, and I was talking a little bit about how the art of setting that Kickstarter, the level, the funding level, and it's like, it's not a real number. Like it's just like this number that will encourage people and show them that you're committed to it. But actually, we want at least 5 times this number, but we can't say that. But we hope that the campaign generates that. Yeah. So usually, if you just barely fund, and if you know that you're just barely going to beat that, you'll probably cancel the campaign because it's not enough money. Yeah. It technically is enough money, but you're just breaking even. So basically all that work was for nothing.
Yeah
So that's very very interesting, the art of Kickstarter. All right, more content for the channel. Actual plays. We should get
I'll work on them a bit. I'll work on them.
It should happen. All right. But we'll have some Dragonbane coming up, so we'll be doing the Rittermound mini adventure. So.
I get to play a duck.
Yes, that's right. All right. Okay, so I think that'll do it for this week. So thanks, Matt. Thanks for hanging in there. I know it's not
Sure.
early for you. So
Yeah, it's 10:30. It's not that bad.
oh, good. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll wrap it up this week. And oh yeah, Warzone. Yeah, Miguel said yeah, that's right. They knew they were Warzone Eternal was going to barely fund, so that's why they canceled it because they weren't expecting to really go far beyond that.
That one made me sad, and I don't even play Warzone.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker because they it seemed like and Chronopia funded and they didn't have the numbers. Their Facebook group wasn't as big. They didn't have the social media presence, and Warzone just couldn't do it. So hopefully they'll be back. They'll be back with a different approach and be able to make that happen. But we'll be back next week and doing the same thing. And I hope Chris we'll find out. We'll find out next week if Chris will be free. It may be a little bit. I'm not quite sure what the work situation is, but lunches may be at the desk for a while.
No.
But we'll see. But thanks again, Matt. I really appreciate taking the time to
it was fun.
Go through this. Yeah. Lots of fun topics and fun to rag on the Rings of Power. Afterwards, we get a little bit in there.
Just a little.
Yeah, and thanks Bastille for jumping in the chat. Good to see you. And Miguel and Abyss, Alvaro, everybody in the chat. Always fun. And you can actually, so it was good this week. You could actually see Matt swinging the wrench physically, freeing up your comments and banning your banning your insults.
I didn't ban anybody.
All right, so we'll be back again next week. See you then.
Bye.
Goodbye.